Hello everybody, today we are going to discuss The Snare by James Stephens. So James Stephens, as you can see, was born in 1880 and died in 1950, grew up in the slums of Dublin, was an Irish poet and took part in the Irish nationalist movement. He also witnessed the Easter Rising of 1916, and here in this poem he is trying to tell us that we should have some sympathy and empathy for the poor animals. In this poem there is a rabbit who is caught in a snare and he's calling out for help, and the poet is looking for that and he wants to help the rabbit. Now this incident can be related to that Easter Rising of 1916, in which 3,500 Irish people were caught by the British and put into prison, imprisoned. So the cry of rabbit here can be related to the cry of those people, and the helplessness of the poet for the rabbit is like the helplessness of the poet for those people who were caught in the prison and were crying out for help. So this is the link here in this poem, and this is the theme. And as I said, apart from that, it teaches us that we should be sympathetic for the poor animal, and we should be quite concerned about their freedom, as well as the loss of freedom of for anybody is a big loss. Similarly, for human beings, even like the loss of freedom for human beings is a big loss. Similarly, we should understand the loss of freedom for of the poor animals as well, that freedom is important for them too, and we should have some concern for that as well. Now, apart from all these things, the snare in this poem has become a metaphor for a trap which can be used to deprive one of one's freedom. So here the snare becomes takes away the freedom of the rabbit, and similarly, as I said, during Easter Rising, the freedom of those Irish were taken away by the British. So in this way, the snare is a metaphor of trap here. And the other thing is, the poem uses stanza linking device, or that in other words, I can say, in more refined form, I can say the poet has used refrain, or as I've written here, concatenation. He is using concatenation. That means what he is doing is he is using the last line of each stanza in the first line as the first line of the next stanza. He is repeating the last line in the next stanza. So this is what he is doing, and in this way he is linking each stanza, so it provides a unity to the poem. Apart from that, it is a beautiful device to emphasize a particular idea which the poet is trying to do through this. And we can say the poet has used apostrophe as well. So apostrophe in the last stanza. Now how that is, I'll tell you when through that particular stanza itself. Apart from that, the poet is using iambic tetrameter. So iambic tetrameter is what in which a particular stress pattern is used, weak and strong, weak and strong, weak and strong. So that stress pattern, iambic, has been used. Tetra is 4 foot are there. So in the first 3 stanza, iambic tetrameter is being used by the poet. And so yes, these are the things which are used by the poet in these lines. So let's see that how he is doing all this, how he has put all those things in the form of this poem here. So he begins in this way: I hear a sudden cry of pain. There is a rabbit in a snare. So you can notice the exclamation mark in the very first line, and through this exclamation he is actually pointing out his disturbed state of mind, his perturbed state of mind. He is in panic when he hears that cry of the rabbit. So I hear a sudden cry of pain. So suddenly it happens at once that he hears that cry of pain, and actually it was a rabbit who was caught somewhere. So I hear a sudden cry of pain. There is a rabbit in a snare. So a rabbit was caught in a snare, a trap. So he was all trapped and trapped. And now I hear the cry again, but I cannot tell from where. So in the first line, the exclamation mark shows the perturbed state of the poet's mind, and the last line, the use of but, which has been repeated in the first line of the next stanza as well, shows the helplessness of the poet, that the poet wants to locate that rabbit, he wants to look for the rabbit, he wants to help the rabbit, but he is unable to locate the place. So that helplessness has been pointed out with the use of this but and the repetition here. And this is what I earlier said, that the poet has used the stanza linking device or refrain or concatenation, because this line has been repeated again in the next stanza, but I cannot tell from where, and then again, but I cannot tell from where. So poet is all helpless. He is trying, but he is unable. His efforts are getting all futile. He is unable to locate the place. He is calling out for aid. The rabbit is actually crying and crying for help. He wants some help. He wants somebody to come and take him out of the traps. So he's calling out for aid, crying out on the frightened air. So frightened air, that is atmosphere, is all frightened. That means the whole air, the whole atmosphere is full of fear. The whole atmosphere is there is everything, means an air of fear is there in the atmosphere. It has become fearful, making everything afraid. Means all the creatures there, all the animals are afraid. They are struck by that element of fear. All at once they are. It is just as when you hear the cry of some animal crying, or some bullet shot, or some roar of lion, and the other animals become all scared and afraid, their ears all taut and just up. So the same situation here, that all the creatures are afraid. They are all at once struck by fear. And now he repeats, making everything afraid, wrinkling up his little face as he cries again for aid. So as he cries again for aid, as he cries for help again, as he is again and again crying out to get some help in the hope that he would get some help, and in that, what his little face is all wrinkled and all twisted with pain. So we can understand the pain, we can see the pain on the face of the rabbit, that he's really so full of pain. So the poet here has tried to bring out that pain in a very patent and clear manner. It's a kind of pictorial description, and it's kind of we can have that pain, that understand or experience that pain. A vicarious experience can be had here by the description that the poet has made, that it was so hurting that his face was twisting up and wrinkling up with pain, that little face. So the agony and the pain can really be felt here with this description here. And I cannot find the place, but the poet is all helpless, and the poet is unable to find the place. And now again he repeats, and I cannot find the place where his bow is in a snare, that I am unable. So see the helplessness of the poet, that how helpless he feels, that he is trying, he is making efforts, but he is unable to locate that place, that where that rabbit is caught in a snare, his paw is in a snare. So where that is, where that place is, he is trying, but he is unable to find that place. And then he addresses the rabbit as, little one, oh little one, I am searching everywhere. So this is the use of apostrophe, as I said earlier, that when we address some non-living as living, when we address some absent thing as present, or treat it as present, when we address something invisible and treat it as visible, so that is called apostrophe. And here the poet is addressing that rabbit as little one, oh little one. So he is so feeling for that rabbit, and he is so sympathetic for that rabbit. He really wants to help the rabbit, he really wants to locate the place, but he is unable, and it pains him, it hurts him, that, and which can be felt through these lines as composed by the poet. He is trying, I'm searching everywhere, I'm looking for you everywhere, but I'm unable to locate, I'm unable to find the place. So this is how he expresses his views and ideas about the animals all caught. And apart from this, as I said, this can be directly related to Easter Rising of 1916, when the Irish people, 3,500 Irish, were imprisoned by the British. So their cries are like the cries of rabbit here, who is caught in a snare. And though snare has become, or has been used as a metaphor for the trap that can deprive one of one's freedom. So this is the idea here in this poem, and the use of refrain is to give a musical quality to the poem and to emphasize his idea. The exclamation mark used in the first line expresses the disturbed and perturbed state of the poet's mind. The use of bird shows the helplessness of the poet, and which can be felt and seen all through the poem, when the poet describes how he feels for the rabbit, that when the rabbit is crying for help and he is trying to locate the place, and it is all futile, the search is all futile, as the poet is unable to find that place. So this is how he expresses his ideas about the other creatures, and tells us that we should be sympathetic for them, we should not try to deprive them of their freedom. And also it relates to the Easter Rising of those times. So I hope it's very much clear to you, and I'll come up with more such things, some very beautiful, instructive, didactic things for you. So keep watching. Till then, thank you very much.